I'd like to buy minerals on Russian land, too, if we can. The rare earth. They have very good rare earth also. They both do, I would say that, and oil and gas. Look, it's a great thing if we sell this. It's great for Russia, too, because we can do deals there. They have very valuable land that isn't utilized. So something like that could take place, yeah.
Have you put raising or lifting sanctions against Russia on the table?
No, we haven't lifted any sanctions on anybody.
On the table as part of the negotiation?
Well, I guess it will be at some point, but
President Trump telling reporters that the U.S. wants to buy Russian minerals and may consider lifting sanctions on Russia. This, as sources are now telling us, that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky plans to visit Washington on Friday to seal a minerals deal with the U.S. For the latest, let's bring in Bloomberg News senior editor Bill Faries. Bill, so let's start with this potential minerals deal with Ukraine, because what we had been hearing is that Ukraine wasn't too happy with the terms. So what do we know now?
Right. We don't have a lot of details on this latest agreement that President Zelensky is expected to sign with President Trump in Washington on Friday. What we do know is that it doesn't include the $500 billion fund that the U.S. had been pushing for as essentially a repayment for its support throughout the last 3 years of the conflict. That was something Ukraine couldn't agree to, but what they seem to have agreed to is a framework deal that would allow funds, some funds from natural resource extraction to be jointly managed by a team consisting of U.S. and Ukrainian officials. We don't know what that fund would spend its resources on, or where it would go, or how much it would be built up to at this point. Hopefully we'll get that in the next couple days before the agreement is signed. Ukraine's cabinet expected to approve the deal later today in Kyiv.
So what does Ukraine get in return? Do they have any security guarantees from the U.S.?
It doesn't sound like there are any specific security guarantees from the U.S. What one U.S. official said was getting into this economic relationship with Ukraine is a de facto security shield. I think Ukraine is going to be looking for much more than that going forward. But the fact that they're able to reach some sort of an agreement here, almost any kind of an agreement, helps keep Ukraine in the discussion, helps ensure that the U.S. doesn't completely block them from these talks that seem to be progressing rather quickly between the Trump administration and Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, President Trump wants to do business with Russia. How soon can they start easing sanctions if that were the path that they go through?
Well, what top Trump aides have said is, including Secretary of State Marco Rubio, is that there won't be any easing of sanctions until there is some sort of a deal on a long-lasting peace. That could still be weeks, if not months away at this point. But presumably, Moscow is going to be pushing for any deal to include an easing of sanctions, at least from the U.S. Of course, there's separate European sanctions that the U.S. has really no leverage over at this point. That would have to be negotiated separately. But U.S. sanctions, getting those lifted would be a huge win for Vladimir Putin.